I'm going to start today's video with a cat review. This is Colt. He is most frequently down here by my workstation, hanging out, being a good chonk. Now, some of his pros are obviously he's a snuggler. He has very soft fur. Cons, with wet food, he can get kind of gassy. And he can be kind of clingy. But all in all, he's been a very good cat, other than having some health issues, which when we got him, it was an autoimmune disease that was attacking his teeth. And they were falling out, and he was in a lot of pain. Several surgeries later, after trying to just fix the issue once in a while, we just had them remove all of his teeth. And ever since then, he's been a good kitty. He can eat wet food, he can eat dry food, he can eat treats, whatever he wants. As you can see, he is doing just fine in the eating department. He's trying to sleep right now. Little guy. Aw, little guy. He's kind of like my mascot. He hangs out down here. He's really the only cat that I let down here out of all of them because this is what he does. I put a little blanket there, and then he's a good kitty. Aw, yawn. Yeah. Were you dreaming about food or birdies? Some of his favorite pastimes include watching the birdies in the screen porch. We have a cat door so they can go outside 365 days a year into a large screened area. And we've planted bird feeders all around to keep them entertained. What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and in a lot of ways, the 90s are back. And as a 90s kid, I'm very happy about it. Whether it's the surge in retro gaming, the re-releases of games, new games like Toe Jam and Earl coming back, and now we've got Earthworm Jim coming back. We've got the Genesis Mini, which is shaping up to look like a pretty decent console with a decent selection of games, and the tides are turning. Now, if you've been following, for example, comic books, or really even independent video games, the way things are getting done are changing. You look at crowdfunding, what it's done for the independent comic book creator in the last year has been astounding. Millions of dollars have been raised by individuals who love comics, want to do their own, and are just deciding to do their absolute own distribution. Whether it's guys like Ethan Van Sciver or John Malin or your boy Zach with Jawbreakers. These books are proving that there's an absolute thirst for a product that reminds people of a different time, reminds people of when, by a lot of people's estimations, games and comics were pure, were just about escapism, and weren't written by crazy people. When they weren't written to push an ideology or to push politics, or when comic book characters weren't constantly getting retconned for PC reasons. And some of the people that I used to love, some of the franchises I loved when I was a kid, are now being brought back by their original creators. And I just want to cover something wholesome here and give a huge amount of respect to Doug TenNapel, who is the original creator of, or one of the original creators, the creator of Earthworm Jim. Now, Earthworm Jim was a very strong presence in my childhood. Loved the character. Everything about the character was awesome. And something has been happening now. These creators with Doug, the thing about Doug, and the reason I like to support him in the way that I do, and I've backed his Indiegogo, full disclosure, is that while he doesn't have mainstream political opinions, he isn't afraid to be the man that he is. And the people at Intellivision have backed him. I'm interviewing one of the higher-ups at Intellivision in a few weeks about their new game console, which will feature the Earthworm Jim exclusively, which will be interesting, the new Amica. But I want to show why the new Earthworm Jim shows Intellivision Amico can serve a niche. Two of gaming's oldest names are re-emerging in the console space, as Atari's VCS and Intellivision Amico will be available for purchase sooner rather than later. However, Little is known of what their software lineups will look like, and what the consoles will offer other than being a potential historical oddity. Even more puzzling is what sort of appeal they will have in the current marketplace that is already heavily saturated by Big Three, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. But the announcement of the new Earthworm Jim game is on the way to help clear things up for the future of the Intellivision Amico. This isn't the simple matter of Intellivision obtaining the rights to Earthworm Jim series and commissioning a new title either. Tommy Tallarico, oh, that's who's going to be on my show, by the way, and his crew have assembled nearly all the original developers and creative minds for the upcoming sequel. Whether or not that's a good thing will depend on your thoughts on the often controversial Doug TenNapel. I wouldn't say he's often controversial. I think he made some opinions that some comments that some people would find rough about trans folks, but I didn't really see anything like vicious, unless there's something I'm missing. But that hasn't stopped the mob of crazy people from hunting him down and trying to get him deplatformed and trying to talk to his partners within Intellivision and to get them to drop them and trying to get the Earthworm Jim team to drop him. Every time these deplatforming campaigns happened 5 years ago and were successful, you didn't see a lot of bounce back from that. So you saw a lot of doubling down by people. But Doug has proved in... Already, I'm sure he's doing just fine financially. I'm sure that this game will sell a lot of Intellivision consoles as well. But the guy has an Indiegogo that's already raised $140,000 in 2 days. This has the potential to be the absolute biggest Indiegogo in the comic book space in history, surpassing Ethan Van Sciver. Sorry, Papa Ethan, it looks rough. I'm not sure Cyberfrog is going to be able to hold up, but I backed for, I think, the hand sketch because I wanted to have something on the studio. But I'm not a personal friend of Doug. I'm just aware of him and the persecution that he's had by the outrage mobs of the internet. And this is amazing. You are my plan A. There is no other plan. Making a big, beautiful book requires a lot of funding. Paper costs go up every year. The book will start as a handsome hardbound edition, oversized 9 by 12, 100. I mean, this thing looks like it's going to be awesome. People are going to want to have it in their collection. And if you remember the original package on the Genesis, Earthworm Jim was one of the first games I ever rented on the Sega Genesis. So this hits me right in the feels. But it's a new era for creators that I'm really, really happy about, when not only can creators go out and do their own thing now using Indiegogo, which, by the way, I like to see more and more people using Indiegogo because, and the reason is because Kickstarter still engages in a lot of deplatforming. And Indiegogo, from what I can tell, has in general been very open and has been very resistant to these coordinated deplatforming mobs that happen. And in a lot of ways, we're getting a lot of nostalgia back. And I'm hoping that, new and, old and young, people can get down with what formed a lot of our opinions on video games. Games like Earthworm Jim, the original Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo, PS1, there's a reason that a lot of these things are getting re-popped out and re-released. I think it's amazing that we're going to have new titles on them. Now, I never had an Amico or an Intellivision, when I was young. That was a little bit before my time, like the Pong consoles and all that stuff. That was a little bit before my time. But I am anxious to learn more about this, and I think if they actually have, unique titles, if they have exclusives, that could be awesome. Intellivision doesn't own a ton of memorable franchises. As many Intellivision titles have generic names like Auto Racing, Boxing, Football Super Pro, and Stadium Mad Buggies. Now, some might down for Stadium Mud Buggies sequel. Some might be down, but isn't going to move the needles. Instead, Tommy will have to leverage his incredible list of industry contacts to make deals that bring back some familiar names in the past. Now, I think Earthworm Jim, I'm hoping, I'm happy that it's on the Intellivision. I am, but I'm hoping I can play it in some other fashion, or that the Intellivision brings a wide array of other interesting titles too, because otherwise it's going to be very expensive Earthworm Jim game for a lot of people.
but I like what I'm seeing there. I like that, you know, I just wanted to be positive, happy that, you know, people are going out there. Earthworm Jim creator Doug TenNapel has been a target of social justice types for years on end. The accomplished designer and creator is now back at it, this time working on Earthworm Jim Launch the Cow comic following the announcement of the new Earthworm Jim game was in development for the Intellivision Amico. On May 13, 2019, TenNapel tweeted out that there's an Indiegogo campaign going on right now for Earthworm Jim comic book. It has 60 days to go, but it's already amassed more than 70K, so it's doubled since this article just 2 days ago. There's a ton of content packed in the project. I mean, I think that this is good. You know, I think that comic writers like Ethan Van Sciver or people with these rights like Doug TenNapel, what they've gone to is like a boutique offer, right? I think the $4 comic book is dead in a lot of ways. There's a reason that, for example, Limited Run is, you know, I just got another game in the mail yesterday. I got Another World with a card and stuff. But, you know, there's a reason that these are working. It's because collectors will overpay for stuff just to have them, and they also will appreciate it more. So now that the comic book and graphic novel industry has kind of gone into this boutique thing where the book itself is $25. You're not going to get there on $4 paperback floppy comic books anymore. I'm hoping to see video games do this. I'm hoping to see some retro titles get released under their own power, but it's going to be a little more difficult when you have the franchises owned by Sega or Nintendo and stuff like that. But I want to congratulate Doug for sticking through this and not letting the SJW stuff drag him down. And I wish him the best. And I'm really excited for Earthworm Jim to come back and for the Amico. This is going to be a great year for gamers. And actually 2020's got even more stuff coming out. So good job, Doug. Appreciate all of you, and we'll talk to you again real soon.